to listen to the Lapped Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lapped Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 296 of the Lapped Traffic Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd. We are getting so close to episode 300. It is great to be back again this week. Just a few more shows to go, and the season's going to be over. Lapped Traffic Season 6 is going to be over. We're going to head into the off season. The holidays are going to be here. And I'm excited and I'm bummed. But I mean, it's been a fun ride. It's been a fun ride this year. That is for sure. Lots of changes. Like the last couple years, done 50 plus shows. This year's probably closer to around the 30 mark. Took a few extra off weeks, but hey, having a newborn will do that. And, we'll just see how things shape up for next year. We will be here. There's no doubt about that. Lapped Traffic Fantasy will be back, but we'll see how we can shake things up a bit and go from there. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Friday, pretty much just hung out after work. Saturday night was fun. It was a date night with the wife. Went to dinner, had a couple drinks, went and saw Kathleen Madigan, who is just an outstanding comedian. We have seen her, probably 5 or 6 times by now, and just delivered as expected. And the wife and I realized something on Saturday, and that is we are old. We are at this bar in Royal Oak, Michigan, which if you're familiar with Royal Oak, then you'll know and get where I'm coming from. We went to 5th Avenue, and we were there at about 6 o'clock waiting for the show to start, and just realized just how out of our element we are sometimes, even at 6 o'clock, right? Like, we were messing around talking with the bartender, like, when does it pop off? When does it become obnoxious in here to where like, oh, why am I still doing this? And he was like, not till 10, 11 o'clock. But it was a beautiful weekend, unseasonably warm here in Metro Detroit. So everybody was out having a good time, which was awesome. And it was just so crazy to see, like, we haven't done the bar scene, if you will, other, meeting some friends, kind of thing, but not that type of a bar scene in a very long time. And I'm not sad about the fact that I don't have to do that anymore. So, realization set in real quick. That was our aha moment of, we never thought we'd be those people talking about our kid, even when we're not, with her, it's date night, right? And there we are showing pictures to each other that I took over the week that she didn't get, vice versa, and all that good stuff. And, that's life now. And then Sunday had some friends over, watched some football, did some grilling, and I put out there, and I still haven't found the rational answer, because I don't think there is one. It's definitely an insanity answer as to why I have Lions season tickets. I only go to like the first 2 games a year, and then they're like 1 and 5, and I don't want to go anymore. And just what a waste of money. But I'm sure I'll renew, because that's the definition of insanity. Just hoping to expect something different with the same outcome, right? Something along those lines. But speaking of football, what a awesome week it is. It is in-state. It is rivalry week. It is Michigan State prime time Saturday night coming up this week. I am so jacked up for this game. I can't wait. I'm a little nervous about the, I think it's 22-point spread right now, but that's all right. That's okay. We'll see how things shake up towards the end of the week here. All right, what's going on tonight? Well, more of the same. And that's continuing to dedicate the remainder of the shows to you guys, to episode 300 to close out the season. And got some great guests lined up tonight. Bobby Peters and TJ from the new Lapped Traffic iRacing League will be on. We did a joint giveaway. We got a winner to announce for that. We got Chris Blackmore, who is going to be on, and Chris does fire safety at some of the tracks on the West Coast. So I'm very excited to get him on the show. Storm and Brian is going to be on. Colin is going to be on. And, of course, we'll have Brian Neudorff with some weather. We'll talk some Purdue football with Brian. And then next week's going to be the last week of weather because it's going into the last race. So we'll have both Brian and Aaron on next week. And, of course, thank them for their dedication over the season to setting time out of their busy days to call in and all that good stuff. Lucky Dogs, Lap Downs, and, oh, my fantasy is it's crazy. It's crazy. There's a few of us, myself included, that are going to have to throw up some Hail Marys this weekend if we're going to make it to the Final Four. And we'll see what happens a little later in the show. All right. Let's get to our first caller, shall we? All right, Lapped Traffic Nation, joining me on the line. He's been around for a minute, listening, following to the show. He's a huge supporter of everything that I do, which I absolutely love. Welcome back to the show, Stormin' Brian 81. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm awesome, man. Thanks for calling into the show. I appreciate it. Appreciate the support. We've got a lot to talk about. You are at Homestead. We've got a crazy shakeup as we head into the last race before the Final Four. But I want to start with this, man. You got your Twitter account taken away last weekend. You had to start a new one, but fortunately you got it back. You and Twitter have a love-hate relationship, I think.
You know, they saw me as a bot, and I'm like, of all the, I do all these videos of me.
Right.
I tweet all the time. How am I a bot?
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like you can spot a bot a mile away. Like for your account to have been a bot, like the amount of effort that would have to go into that, like give it credit at that point and just let it stay around. Like I just don't understand all the interaction that your account does with so many people. Like how in the world, you stuck out as a potential bot just blows my mind.
Yeah, I'm just happy that, it was only like a day and a half.
Yeah. Did you have to talk to somebody or was it all like via, email communications?
It was an email, and then putting in the appeal.
Okay.
And then I got the letter back the next day, later on, I did it, what was it, Saturday? I did it. It was a Thursday.
Okay.
And then Friday evening, I got the thing, saying, sorry, we thought you were a bot. We hope to see you on Twitter soon. and sorry, my dogs are deciding now they want to be loud.
Oh, you're good. No worries. No, that's crazy, man. That's absolutely crazy. Well, man, I'm glad you got it back because you've worked really hard to get a massive following. And, you do great work with MS and getting word out there about that, which is awesome. So I am very happy that you got your account back.
Oh yeah, me too. I was like, all that work. I said, I started over. And then I was like, I don't really want to do all this. I mean, I was going to do it. Right. I was like, I'm going to make this account bigger and better. But I'm like, I want my old account back. So I was happy that it all came back.
And how many followers did you pick up on the new one that you created? Like you were up to 1,000 already in like a couple days.
Yeah, I almost have like 3,000 on that one.
All right. So what do I need to start doing to start picking up some more followers, man? Like I guess I just need to follow more people. I think I just need to do follow backs or something.
Yeah. And what helped me is I had like 3 or 4 people help me and say, hey, this is his new account. Okay. And they're huge, and they have huge accounts too.
Yep.
So everyone knew who the thing. Yeah.
Yep. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, listen, you were at Homestead this weekend. We were talking a little bit off air. I've been to Homestead once. I went with media, so I had a little bit of a different view, if you will, just in terms of, where I had to sit and what, I didn't have to deal with the fans and all that kind of stuff. And not that I love the fans. I'm just saying like I didn't have to deal with lines and all that kind of stuff. Not the best for you though, eh?
Yeah. Well, and like I was saying, so, and I don't know how much the TV did it, but the crowd was very thin. But every time you went downstairs to like get something to eat or use the facilities or anything else, you saw just how packed it was underneath and at the fan zone. And it's like, well, that's where everybody is.
Yeah.
They're not in their seats. They're down there. So there was a line for everything. So it was, it was almost impossible, more so to get like food or drink.
Sure.
Especially now other people may listen, but in my area, that's how it was. And I was down towards turn 1.
Okay. Did they have a lot of entertainment and stuff going on, in the fan area?
They did. They had the and I can't off the top of my head, but the NASCAR, the whatever. They had the stage there and everything else.
Yep.
And Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
Daniel Suarez.
Yes.
Daniel Suarez was out there. Ryan Blaney, although I didn't wait for that one. I saw Daniel Suarez.
Okay.
And I forget the third driver. There's a third driver. So they came out. They had bands out there. Actually, I ran into and talked to Spencer Boyd a little bit at the Hair Club tent.
Very cool.
And always a great guy. If you've never. If no one ever met Spencer Boyd, he will take all the time in the world to talk to you.
Absolutely. Yep. No, he's a great guy. So, I wonder, all of the tracks, right? They've got to finesse a very fine line in terms of how much entertainment do you provide race weekend to those that are camping, staying the whole weekend, those that are just driving in, whether it's single day, whether it's, a Saturday Xfinity or Sunday Cup that are just coming in one day. And you don't want to take away from the on-track action, right? Like the main attraction should be the race. And if you provide too much entertainment, it's obviously it's NASCAR, it's tailgating, it's camping, it's drinking, it's partying. If you provide too much of an entertainment thing, people might just linger and hang out and just be having a good time, like they're at a bar almost, and that's a fine line to balance to make sure people are, granted the track maybe doesn't care because they've sold their ticket, they've got their gate totals, but you want people in the seats for what they're, technically there for.
It's the main event. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now this is the funny part. Now I was at Atlanta in July.
Okay.
And I bring that up because, it was mid 80s, it was hot. Of course, there wasn't a cloud in the sky.
Sure.
But there's more people in the seats at Atlanta watching the race than at Homestead. Now, whether it's because it's still the new, it's only the second race with a new configuration.
Yeah. I wonder what Atlanta is going to look like next year, man. That's going to be a telling sign, I think.
Oh yeah, and then they're under the lights next year, so that'll be more. And Homestead is one of those ones. If you like, ripping it, at the top of the fence,
right?
Let them and Homestead has gotten a lot better. We everyone can say that. Those who's been around a while remember the Homestead as being a flat track.
Yes, no, absolutely. No, they, Homestead's kind of taken it took a minute, I think, to get everybody on board with it. The fact that it was for so long the championship race, regardless, you could have put championship race almost anywhere and you'd have a good product just because, one, the atmosphere would be strong. You've got the level of competition for like I said, you could put the championship almost anywhere and it would deliver a pretty decent product. Homestead started to wear track wise, so we had tire wear. We had a little bit better of a banking, in the last 10, 15 years there since they kind of did their reconfigure. And you're right. It definitely started to provide, what did you think of the racing? Like, do you think if they would have, how would you compare it if we were to be there 2 weeks from now? Do you think it would have been different or do you think it would have been the same?
I think it would have been almost the same. Okay. Now, the only thing that was different too this year compared to, when they were there, when it was a championship race, it was an hour earlier. Yeah. This year, usually you go from, daytime to nighttime and then in the nighttime. Yeah. So this one was more, of course, in the heat of the day and it finished. It was getting a little bit dark, at the end, but not like, your last few years Homestead races where it ends under the lights. And I like that.
Absolutely. I like the transition races. Those are very big. You get the you get the Coke 600, you get the Southern 500. You get Las Vegas, some of these races to where you're not only battling the track, but you've got to determine how you're going to do your setup from either, you're going to set it up for the front or you're going to set it up for the back. And yeah, those definitely tend to be very competitive and entertaining races, and a chess match. They may not be, side by side for 267 laps, but if you are, your casual fan probably doesn't appreciate it as much, but your diehards that appreciate the chess match of not just the driver but the crew chiefs really play a big role. I love those type of races for sure.
Oh yeah. And, and of course they happen, you can't say, oh, this or another, but what if they don't throw that caution when Ryan Blaney spins, which I don't think they had to. I think they saw the opportunity of the way the racing was going.
Yep, they wanted to restart. They wanted to restart.
But that put, and even as much as I don't like him, Joey Logano, yes, was a free pass, but that put him behind. That put Chase Elliott behind.
Sure.
And they had a hard time passing, but you can't really say that because Martin Truex, granted, he had 19 tires, had new tires on the 19 and went from 19th to 6th.
Yep.
At the end there, after he got spun out. So,
absolutely,
you could pass.
Yeah. Yes, you could. All right, man. Who's going to make the Final Four, and who's your championship pick there?
All right. So, of course, besides Joey Logano.
Yep.
I think it's going to be Ross Chastain. He needs something big. Even though the points are very tight.
Yes.
And one little slip up in the first, even the second stage could ruin your thing. I think Ross Chastain does it. And I'm going to go with William Byron and Chase Elliott.
What a crazy, not crazy. You look outside in, hey, if you told me at Daytona, Joey Logano's going to make the Final Four. Okay, I could get behind that. You told me Chase Elliott was going to make the Final Four. Okay, I could get behind that. Same thing with William Byron. Ross Chastain maybe's the surprise pick. Okay, but nothing crazy. But when you look at the season that we had with 20 different winners, you're like, really? That's our Final Four. That's what kind of sticks out as being the crazy thing to me. And if you told me that Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and a few others aren't in the round of 12 even, I'm looking at you going like, what did you smoke today? Because that's pretty good stuff. So.
And he's had a couple of bad races, and he's pretty much in a must win.
Yep.
But you got to give it to Chase Briscoe and that team
to
be in the final 8.
Absolutely.
And then he had the heartbreaker yesterday.
Yep.
But still he can't hang his head out, even if he doesn't win and doesn't make the championship 4.
But
I think he's overachieved.
Yes. And how crazy? Could Chase Briscoe go out and win Martinsville? I absolutely see that as a possibility. It's it's a short track. It's a survival race, which is why I absolutely love the fact that Martinsville is the last race before the championship, because it's strategy, it's driver skill that will determine it, and that is what I absolutely love.
And don't be surprised. Now it's funny when I said Daniel Suarez, I said Daniel Bryan. Don't even know why I was thinking that. I haven't watched wrestling in years, but I will say this: if Martinsville is anything like that race, now granted it's going to be a lot warmer. If it's anything like that race in April, you better believe there's going to be bumping and bumping, running, everything else. We may have fights after the race because of hurt feelings, but I think that's what it's going to come down to. If it's the lack of passing, watch out. There's going to be beating and banging, and tempers are going to flare.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. I love it. Brian, man, thank you so much for supporting the podcast, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for always retweeting and doing all that. Thank you for helping celebrate and counting down to episode 300. I appreciate you so much.
And congratulations for that.
Thank you so much, man. All right, we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Talk to you soon.
Later. All right, Lapped Traffic Nation, great to catch back up with Brian. Haven't talked to him in a minute. Make sure you're following him. If you aren't, at StormandB81 on Twitter. Great follow, lots of content, very entertaining. Won't be disappointed there, that's for sure. All right, let's do some resets here. The trucks. I mean, we are set. Our final four: Ty Majeski, Zane Smith, Ben Rhodes, Chandler Smith. Here's what I like. Here's what's crazy about this. I love that Ben Rhodes gets to go and defend. I think it's an absolute shame that there are instances where your prior champ doesn't get to defend the championship. And I get that happens, right? Like we don't get last year's Super Bowl defending always against, the contender this year. I get that. I think there are some anomalies that you can make with stick and ball and racing, and I think there are some that you can't. I have always toyed with myself, and you can at me all the hate you want on this, because I'm not going to say I think it should always happen, but I wouldn't be opposed to the potential concept. You guys hear all the qualifiers I'm using there? Because they're qualifiers. Like, I'm torn. If you told me this was going to be the case, I wouldn't necessarily be upset, but I don't know I'd also be elated either. For example, if you were to tell me that let's use Ben Rhodes. Ben Rhodes isn't making the final four from a points perspective. Then if they wanted to have 5 drivers competing for the championship because he's the defending champ from last year, I could get sold on that concept. I could. I see the opposite side too of, are you kidding me? What just came out of your mouth? I'm never listening to this podcast again. I get that. I'm just saying, I am using that extreme to show how much I love the fact that Ben Rhodes gets to go and defend his championship in the final four. I think that is I think that's great. I am stunned John Hunter misses it. I mean, he just had a couple bad races, and I really wonder if that's a product of just not being able to hit some stride and rhythm with all of these off weeks. I wonder if we don't have that. I mean, it potentially, obviously, could be the same, but I really wonder if that wasn't a factor at play. Stuart Friesen, not surprised. Grant Enfinger, love him to death. Really would have loved to have been able to see him go and compete for one. Was able to get a win this year, which is great. Just couldn't hit the stride. Same thing with Christian Eckes. Our top 4 are our best drivers, I really think. I know that, John Hunter had 2 wins. And Ben's only got 1, but from a finish and consistency perspective, John Hunter was either wreckers or checkers, and Ben definitely was a little bit more consistent out there. So I love our truck final 4. I think these guys are going to put on a hell of a finale here at Phoenix in a couple weeks. I am absolutely distraught over the fact that the schedule was not worked out from a truck perspective to allow the trucks. How are the trucks not racing at Martinsville this weekend? That is a shame. It's a missed opportunity. And I just cannot, I'm beside myself that that's not happening. I digress. I move over to the Xfinity Series where Noah Gragson, 8 wins. And it's not been a quiet 8 wins. It's just been like a last minute towards the end of the season. This isn't a Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Cole Custer, big 3, 7-8 wins apiece. It's been like so incrementally to where it just kind of snuck up at you, and you're looking at the sheet and you're like, holy shit, Noah Gregson's got 8 wins. Like, that's crazy. Ty Gibbs got 5, AJ's got 5, those 3 definitely need to be in the final 4. There is no doubt about that in my mind. But the points, the point battle is very, very close, which, is a great thing from a fan perspective. I mean, Dinger's only 5 to the good above the cut line. Allgaier's 5 back. Austin Hill 7 back. Sam Mayer, Brandon Jones are probably in must-win situations. I mean, it's going to be really hard to pick up 28 points, from a points perspective with one race to go. So those two are in must-wins. Wouldn't count it out by any stretch. Definitely would not cut it out. They've all got wins this year with the exception of Sam Mayer. And, hey, I mean, we saw Daniel Hemrick pick up his first win as winning at Phoenix, So anything can happen. Cliche, I get. I think Ty Gibbs is pretty well safe to get to the Final Four. He should be there 100%. I think Dinger should be there. Absolutely. So we'll see what happens there once we get past Martinsville. Martinsville is just going to be absolutely phenomenal this weekend. No doubt about that. All right. Cup Series here. This is what's crazy to me. All right. We got Joey Logano locked in. We've had 8 playoff races. 6 of them have been won by either non-playoff drivers or someone who's been eliminated winning in the next round. That is just absolutely crazy to me. I never would have fathomed that. Like I talked all year, hey, are we going to get 16 or 17 different regular season winners? You would have told me that, over 50% of your playoff races aren't going to be won by playoff contenders or people that have been eliminated. No, I'd have said you're nuts. I'd have bet the house that you were wrong on that. I'm glad I didn't. But when we look at the fact here, here we are going into going into Martinsville, one more race to go. Logano's the only one locked in. Chastain plus 19, Elliott plus 11, Byron plus 5, Denny Hamlin minus 5. But man, when you look at the stat, it would be very hard to pick against Denny Hamlin. Maybe not even a win, but I mean, Martinsville, Denny Hamlin, how many clocks does that guy have? I don't see how he's not picking up a lot of points. William Byron, Chase Elliott. I mean, everybody needs to be on their A game because Denny Hamlin, 5 points back, could go out there, win, no doubt about it, and really throw a wrench in some things for some of these guys here. Blaney is 18 points must win, just considering the level of competition. If you're Blaney, Bell, Chase Briscoe, must win situations. Obviously, I think they're for Briscoe. Again, as I was talking with Brian, wouldn't count it out. It's Martinsville. Tempers are going to flare. If someone loses their cool and someone can be there to capitalize, I wouldn't count it out. But I think Denny Hamlin's the only one that could realistically, could point his way through things. The rest very well may be in a must-win situation if you're outside the cut line there. So, all right. That is what I have for you guys there. Before we get to the social media segment this week, let's get from the newly sponsored Lapped Traffic iRacing League. Let's get Bobby and TJ on the line. All right, Lapped Traffic Nation, if you've been following over the last couple weeks, you know that the Lapped Traffic podcast is now the title sponsor of the Lapped Traffic podcast iRacing League, hosted by Bobby Peters. And joining me on the line is Bobby, along with one of the longtime competitors in the league with TJ. So, Bobby, TJ, how are you guys?
Doing good.
Not too bad.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. First time on. Glad to have you guys. So we got a lot to get into here. Let's start with, your NASCAR fandom, if you will. So, TJ, when did you become a NASCAR fan?
So my first time becoming a NASCAR fan is I'm actually a third generation kind of NASCAR fanatic. Started with my grandfather and then developed into my dad, and I started watching since about 98 to about 2000s, around the Dale Earnhardt Sr. era, and that's kind of back then was my driver, and everything that had happened obviously at Daytona,
Sure.
But that was my guy that me and my dad had always pulled for every week, just watch him come from the back all the way up to the front. And it's kind of just where it all started, and it kind of just fathomed from there. It just grew and grew, and I've always watched either the trucks, Busch, Craftsman, and from the Monster Energy Cup Series to Xfinity, and I've watched it all the time.
That's awesome. Do you get to many races a year, or if where's your home track?
So my home track is Pocono. That's originally where I'm from, but I just got back from Miami actually yesterday.
Awesome.
To me, my favorite tracks are always the super speedways. I just love the high speed racing, and I just love the all out full throttle and no brakes.
That's awesome. I love it. Bobby, how about you, man? What's your NASCAR story?
So I was a Rusty Wallace fan. My uncle, I followed his footsteps. He was a big Rusty fan. My dad was a Dale Senior fan. My first ever race was Michigan, and we went to Michigan qualifying, and Dale Earnhardt told Jeff Gordon not to go out on the track, and he went out on the track in qualifying and ate the wall.
Oh, no kidding.
That was my first ever experience watching NASCAR, and ever since then I've been hooked.
That's awesome. What year was that? Do you know?
That was 94 or 95.
Okay. It's sketchy to me on what year my first race was out there. It was sometime in the 90s and then started going pretty regularly.
I want to say it was 95 if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Very cool. All right, let's talk about the season a little bit. It's kind of shooken out. A little interesting. The final 8 right now are not the final 8 who I had in my bracket by any stretch. What do you guys think on the season, the car, safety issues, all that good stuff? Bobby, what's your take on the overall here as we've got 2 races left to go before we wrap things up?
Well, the safety issue is a big thing. Obviously seeing Kurt go out the way he did, that's not how we any of us wanted to see that. As for the championship and going through, I'm excited that Joey, because I'm a huge Joey Logano fan, excited that he's finally punched his ticket, and hopefully he can win it this year.
Joey has grown on me over the years. Obviously, prior to the podcast and all that, everyone knows I'm a big Kevin Harvick fan. So the beef that they had turned me off to Logano, but he's grown on me over the years, and he really grew on me, of course, when I got to chat with him at Firekeepers Casino a couple months ago, and got to hang out with him for a few on a personal level, and he is very cool dude, very cool. So yes, no, I'm very excited for Logano to go try to get championship number 2 here in a couple weeks. No doubt about that. TJ, how about you, man?
So I think the next gen cars are, in my opinion, I think they were a little rushed to try and get them on the track with how everything, and especially with these cars being now 3 separate pieces and then they not being completely full one built, welded chassis.
Sure. Kind
of scares me a little bit with them having, just a bolt-on rear clip, bolt-on front clip. It kind of like, it's a little scary in my opinion, because you're relying on basically just nuts and bolts to, hold a front clip and hold a rear clip together. Yep. So it's kind of a little scary. And, obviously I'm not driving, so I don't really know how the rear clips, when it took out Kurt Busch at Pocono, I don't really know and understand, how the hits are in the rear like that. Obviously something's being done by NASCAR, and that has to be done to make them safer. For one, that you had Kurt Busch being taken out, and now you have Alex Bowman out on concussion protocols. So it's definitely scary, but NASCAR does have in place some new chassis updates and upgrades for next year, and they do plan on getting them fixed before the season next year. And for me, man, the championship 4, I'm really kind of a Kyle Larson fan in the Cup Series. I like how he drives, and with the whole entire Bubba Wallace thing, I think he after his interview, I really think he took it, rather well, other than kind of like, oh, I hope he apologizes. And, he's kind of just like, well, I'm a grown man, I take it with a grain of salt. And yeah. I think, we just got to get through it and kind of just get over it. And I really like his attitude, but, I'm I'm kind of pulling for Willie B, to be honest. I think it'd be cool to see a real young man like that get that championship.
Absolutely, especially coming from the back too. It's he's close to the win and you got to be in kind of thing. So I feel
Exactly.
you there. I feel you there. All right, well let's talk about the Lapped Traffic iRacing League. Bobby, you've been running a league for a while. How many years have you been running your own league? How long you been doing the iRacing thing? All that good stuff.
All right, so I started my first league 2009. It was under Pro Premium Racing online. That was on the console, PS3 and PS4. And now I've been on iRacing for 2 years. Started last year, was signed with Starcom Racing as their esports driver, which is what put me into iRacing. And now I'm running my own league.
Very cool. And you've got a crap ton of wins. Like what's your stat line look like?
Overall wins, I have like 6.
Okay.
But if you count league wins, I have over 210.
Very nice. And you've got quite a few sponsors on board too with the league. Who else is part of this thing?
We have Richmar Florist. We have Fly Informed Structures. Put me on the spot. You guys, come back to me and I'll give you the rest of them.
I can do that. Not a problem. TJ, how long you been doing the iRacing thing?
So, honestly, I've been on and off with iRacing. I've never really had my own account, but I've always been either doing some practices on a friend's account when I was in college at UNOH, or I've done some off of my fiance's or her dad's. And I just got into having my own account about 2 or 3 years ago. And I run a lot of the open setups and I do some fixed here and there because I'm a big, mechanics person. I like to be able to figure out how to make the car faster, how to make it better, if you want it more loose, more tight. And, I've always wanted to be a driver, but then I started getting into all of this, and the mechanics aspect of the car was a lot more intriguing to me than really driving. So I've been doing it. I've been doing it off and on, but about full time, I think I've been doing it about 2 years now.
Very cool. That's something for me where it's like, if I were to get into that, that's the thing. Like I would just spend so much time finessing a half wedge adjustment here, a little air pressure adjustment there. And it would take up so much time that I just don't have already. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like I got home last night and I immediately hopped on the simulator, and I plan on running the Elite Performance Industries Thanksgiving Classic, the super late model race in November 19th and 20th. And it's one of the biggest races that they're trying to host. And I can't really gauge on how fast some of the guys run. So I was just like, well, we're going to try out and look at some of the world records, and fastest time there's a 13:1. So I've ran about 500 laps last night, and fastest I've gotten was about a 13:749. So we got a lot more stuff we got to figure out.
Fair enough, man. All right, Bobby, who the rest of sponsors?
All right. So we have Off Access Paint, Remain Safe, Fly Inform, Halls Run Diecast, Airs iRacing Paints, who does most of our paint jobs for the league, Richmar Florist, and our new sponsor with you guys. And I just added this, and this is kind of exciting for us. We've never had a Victory Lane sponsor. Awesome. Speakeasy Pen Emporium and Supply. So if you guys are looking for pens, shoot them a message.
Very cool. No, that's a lot of sponsors. That's a job well done there. There's so many iRacing leagues out there. Everybody wants a little cut of something, and to be able to attract and get that many sponsors, that's really cool. Off Access Paint's awesome. I need to have them back on. I had them on the show last year. They did an awesome Lapped Traffic helmet, which is over by the bar in the man cave, which is really cool. They're a great group of people over there. That's awesome. Bobby, what kind of vehicle are we running for the league?
I am running a Chevy Silverado, and it is powered by GMS. along with my teammate TJ.
Awesome. Very cool. And what kind of what are some of the tracks that, you know, are some unique tracks that are on the schedule for the league?
We've got the normal Daytona, Vegas, all those. We got Nashville Super Speedway, Gateway, Coda, North Wilkesboro, and
That's
Lucas
gonna be
Oil.
awesome.
Lucas Oil rounds out the championship 4, so I'm super excited about that.
That's really cool. Bobby, what kind of iRacing track fits your style the most, would you say?
Hands down, Michigan.
Michigan. I love it. TJ, how about you, man?
I think it's the short tracks. I think it's Atlanta and Charlotte for me.
Okay. I love that. Now, so like Atlanta, are you guys going to run the new config or the old config?
New config.
Excellent. I love that.
And it's fast. we ran a practice race there the other day. TJ and I were 1 and 2, and it's just it felt like Talladega or Daytona.
That's great. That'll be exciting. That'll be very cool. All right. Let's see here. Why don't we wrap with these two things here? We were talking about the Final Four and all that, guys. Give me your championship winners for the 2022 season. TJ, who do you think is going to pull it off?
Honestly, I'm still pulling for William. I mean, that's who I want to go for.
Bread and butter. I love it. I mean, that would be very cool. I mean, a young HMS guy, you know, carrying the banner there. That'd be pretty cool. Bobby, you rolling with Logano?
I'm sticking with my pick from the beginning of the season. I said Logano, Gregson, and I know I'm going to hate myself for saying this, Ben Rhodes.
I mean, hey, the Victory Lane interview will be amazing if it's Ben Rhodes again. So, I mean,
that'll be interesting for sure.
Must-see TV, no doubt about that. All right. Last thing here, we've got a contest winner to announce. Put it out there last week. Bobby sent an awesome autograph poster. We've got a Lapped Traffic hat, which are flying off the shelves. If you want a Lapped Traffic hat, you can either try to win one or reach out. I've got a handful of them still left available for purchase, along with T-shirts, all that good stuff. So hit me up there. But Bobby, without further ado, who is our contest winner?
It's Emily, which is HoundNuggets _ on Twitter.
Awesome. Congratulations, Emily. Send me a DM and I will get that out to you this week. Guys, it was great to have you on. Great to hear about the league and to get that out there for all of the listeners, and looking forward to keeping everybody updated on that. We'll make sure we, without a doubt, get the winner on at the end of the season and get some updates throughout the course of the league there. Guys, it was great to talk to you and look forward to catching up with you guys in the future.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, great to talk to those guys. Can't wait to see how the league shapes out, who wins, all that good stuff. One of these days, one might just have to go and get his own rig. We'll see. All right, let's do some Lapped Traffic social media. Everybody make sure you check out the website, thelappedtrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, Lapped Traffic Podcast, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lapped Traffic PC. If you've made it this far into the show, leave a review. Tell your friends. I've got free koozies. All you have to do is fill out the contact page on the website, thelappedtrafficpodcast.com. I got a bunch going out this week along with the prize pack. Congrats again to Emily at HoundNuggets _ on the win there. Send me a DM. I'll get that out this week. I'm shipping out some hats this week. I still have hats. You want a hat? Shoot me a DM. I've got some colors left, all that good stuff. Let me know if you are interested there. I'll get a new giveaway out as well. And we got some new followers. Zach at Bunkers Workshop from Maryland. Sports fan, does some laser cutting. He's a Blackstone griller, which I love as well. Brian at Hill 1989 VA sports fan from Virginia. And we've got Kelly at Lee the B48 NASCAR fan from Georgia. Welcome to the show, everybody. Like I said, you want a koozie and some stickers, fill out the contact page on the website, thelappedtrafficpodcast.com, and I will get those out to you for free. All right, normally this is where we'd have the weather segment. We're going to put that on hold for a few minutes. That'll be a little bit later in the show. I've got two more of you guys, which I absolutely love, to get on the line here before we get to weather. Lucky Dogs, Lapped Traffic Fantasy will close it out here after we talk to Chris and Colin. So let's get Chris Blackmore on the line. All right, Lapped Traffic Nation, joining me on the line. You can follow him on Twitter at USMC_NASCAR Fire. Welcome, first time, Chris Blackmore. Sir, how are you?
Doing good. About yourself?
Oh man, it's podcast day, so it's always a great day. So happy to be here. Happy to have you on. Long
Absolutely.
overdue, man. We've chatted back and forth for quite some time, and I've said I need to get you on, and here we are finally. So welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, let's start with this. You are a track safety guy occasionally. So why don't you tell us the 411 on that, how you got into that, and all that good stuff.
All right. Well, basically, one of my coworkers, I've been a NASCAR fan for a good while, and one of my coworkers, he got into being a fire rescue member, and I believe he started at Vegas, and then he got into Phoenix, and then he went, "Hey, they need people." He goes, "You're a big fan. Why don't you come aboard?" So I did, and so I started up. Phoenix is actually my home track.
Okay.
I do fire rescue at Phoenix and at Vegas, and then we fly out together. Me and my coworker, we work together at work, and then we work together when we're not at work. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, me and him, we fly out to Daytona for the races out there as well.
That's so cool. So, walk us through what race weekend looks like for you, right? Like, especially if it's, Daytona, that's not your home track. Maybe it's not when you grew up, but the full ins and outs of what's your prep? What's the track's prep for you? How's all that pieced together?
Well, for us, it's pretty easy. They send our schedule out. Generally, if there's vehicles on the track, there's fire rescue members in the pits. And so, we fly in usually the day before, or we drive over the day before. Depends on where we're going. And then we're there from early in the morning, well before the garages open, because once the garages are open, they've got firefighters in there as well. And then there's firefighters on the pits for practice, for qualifying, and then obviously for the race. So basically, as soon as if there's fuel in the pit stalls, there's a firefighter in that pit stall.
Oh,
and
that's
then
a great way to put it.
Yeah, and then at the end of the race, the teams will start tearing the war wagons down. And sometimes they take the fuel out immediately. Sometimes the fueler is there because, he's the biggest guy on the team usually. So he's usually there helping them bring down the bigger stuff and fold the bigger items. And then once he rolls out with the fuel cans, then we go ahead and beat feet, and then we're done for the day generally.
Okay. What do you usually prefer? Working, in the track, in the pits? What do you normally do?
Well, in the pits is a lot of fun. It's for a race junkie, being where we are. We are on pit wall with the pit crews. We're there with the fire extinguishers. If something happens during that pit stop or following that pit stop, we're there to protect those crews, that car, and that driver.
Sure.
And you get, you don't see as much of the race, obviously, because you're right there in the pit stall.
Yep.
But you're there with the teams. You get some good friendships going with a lot of the team members.
Absolutely. And
when they first roll into your area, you're usually there before a lot of them get there. And you get there, you introduce yourself to the fueler. Hey, I'm your guy. If something goes wrong, I will take care of you. Basically, you just stand still, hold your breath, and we will douse you with extinguisher.
Sure.
And then we always talk to the rear tire changer.
Okay.
Because we're generally at the rear of the vehicle where the fueling area is.
Yep.
So if something goes on, we're getting our signals from that rear tire changer.
Okay.
And then another thing that I always like to do is I talk to the pits on to the right of us, the front end of that car that's to the right of us, and I find out who their tire catcher is going to be during their pit stops.
Okay.
And I talked to him, hey, when you guys are doing your pit stop, I'm going to step all the way back here so I am not in your way. Because the last thing we want to do as firefighters, and we've seen it happen, everybody's seen it happen, where the firefighter somehow, some way gets in the way and interferes with the pit stop. And that is the last thing that we want to have happen.
Yeah, right. Oh,
so
man.
I always make it a point to talk to that catcher on that to the right of me, and hey, who am I looking at? You know, I'm going to be out of your way. And then after that first pit stop is done, I'll talk to the fueler. I'll talk to whoever's handing the fuel can to the fueler. I'll talk to the guy tossing the hose for the rear tire changer. I'll talk to the rear tire changer, and I'll talk to that tire catcher from the other team. Hey, is everything good? Do you need me anywhere else? Just so they know that I'm on board.
Right.
And they know that I want to know, okay, give me updates. Is this good? Do you want something else? What works best for you guys? Because ultimately I don't want to be in the way.
Right. No, man, that's so cool. I love that. That's great. What did you think of this past weekend at Homestead?
You know, Homestead's kind of I love that track. I absolutely love that track. It's right. Watching those guys riding the fence is just mesmerizing. The Xfinity race, I mean, really the Xfinity race for the last couple of seasons has been better, in my opinion, than the Cup race.
No, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, it's just, you know, you watch those guys, they're hungry. Every single one of them, men and women both, they want to move up.
Sure.
They want to make a name for themselves, make a future for themselves. And the racing in general, I think, is just been better in the Cups, in the Xfinity series than in the Cups.
Sure.
The trucks as well. I mean, there's a lot of really good drivers that are up and coming in the trucks. I mean, you got people like Chandler Smith that's moving to college racing next year, and that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of really young drivers that are really, really good, and that they're going to be a lot of fun to watch in the future. You know, the future of our sport is right there in front of us, and it's cool because we get to watch them evolve.
Very I love that. That's obviously a big draw truck, the Xfinity series. I am bummed. I went on a rant a little while ago on the show. I'm very annoyed that the truck series is not going to be beaten and banging this weekend at Martinsville. I think that is
I know
it is a disservice to the fan base as far as I'm concerned. But
there's been a couple other tracks where the trucks weren't at, and I was like, come on,
right?
You know, it's like you want to see them there. You want to see what they can do because it's just so exciting.
Absolutely. All right, man. You know, who's your picks for the Final Four, and who's your champ pick?
Oh boy, Ross Chastain, I think is gonna get in there.
Popular pick tonight on the show, that's for sure. So we got Ross, we got Joey Logano.
Joey's already in.
Yep. And then it's
Denny's got some work to do, but he's good there.
I'd say
really good there.
He's got some clocks to back up what he can do there for sure. Yep.
Yeah. And I feel really bad for Seabell because, you know, he's got that hole. He's in such a hole now that, you know, it's, you know, what can you really do at that point?
Yep. No, I'm with you. You know, I mean, I'm all about Logano going and getting into number 2, or I want to see Ross Chastain go and make some noise for Trackhouse Racing to come out of nowhere and to go and get it done. Either one works for me.
You know, Blaney's got a chance there too, though. Blaney's been good.
You know, he could have the Daniel Hemrick moment. He could point his way all the way to Final Four, and maybe that's his first win of the year. Yeah.
I mean, William Byron, he's on that edge.
Yeah. Blaney's the most consistent driver.
Yes.
You know, for the entire year.
If you look at the entire year, it's, you know, Blaney has been there.
Yep.
He just can't quite close the deal.
Right. You got it. Yes. Alrighty, sir, let's wrap with this. You've taken on the fun and exciting task of smoking meat lately, and I absolutely love that. How's the smoking coming? Do you feel like we're going to be entering some competition soon? Where are we at skill wise there? Have you mastered it yet?
Oh no. I'm definitely not looking at competitions. But I will say there's a lot of places, like if we're away and we go out to eat or something, I'm disappointed because I'm like, you know what, I could do better at home.
Absolutely.
It's like I can't buy wings most places because you know what, I could do better at home and they cost me a lot less.
Yep. I have yet to, since I really started doing it and doing it a lot, I've yet to find a place whose pulled pork can compete with mine from a, barbecue restaurant perspective.
Right.
My burgers are phenomenal. If I'm tooting my own horn, I'll smoke a burger that is just out of this world from what people tell. I've got some friends that own bars and restaurants and they're like, damn, I wish we could get this on our menu. So, that's a compliment to me, man, so
yes.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Good deal, man. I love it. Well, listen, thank you so much for sharing the stories about, working at the track. That was cool. I'm sure the listeners are going to love that. Thank you for the support, man. It was great to have you on, and thanks for helping to celebrate, counting down here to episode 300.
Absolutely. And if you guys are watching Phoenix, I'll actually be in the cleanup truck at Phoenix. So cleanup 4, I'll be in that one for the final.
Awesome.
For the final races.
We need to get you like a lap traffic flag that you can just like wave outside of the truck so I can get some TV time there or something.
Yeah, I don't know. They may frown on that one.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I like doing what I'm doing.
Fair enough. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, Chris Blackmore. Go follow him on Twitter at USMC_NASCAR Fire. And most importantly, thank you for your service, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, you guys are worth it. Thank you.
Take care. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, great to talk to Chris Blackmore there. Great to have him on. I've got one more fan caller for you guys tonight. You can follow him on Twitter at Colin_with_cars. He is always there chiming in with Lucky Dog and Lap Down picks, which is awesome. He's been listening to the show for a while, which is fantastic. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Colin. Colin, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, what's going on? I'm doing great.
Awesome, man. Thank you for calling in. I got your hat going out in the mail tomorrow, sir, so I'm excited for you to get that bad boy.
I'm a huge hat collector, so to get one from your podcast, it's going to be perfect. I'd have something to wear during the off season. So
I love it. Fantastic. Well, we were talking before we hit record here. You've got a 7-month-old. I've got a 8-month-old. How's that been going for you? Are you sleeping? Is she sleeping?
Yeah, man. It takes a while to get there, but once she started sleeping through the night, things get a lot easier. But no, she's sleeping good. Starting to fall into that first year rhythm that you get into with the kids.
Yeah, and then you'll be good there, and then everyone just keeps telling me then it's going to be softball practice, or well, it'll be baseball practice, and all that kind of stuff, and then now's the easy part from what everyone's telling me. So I'm trying to take it all in as much as possible.
And yeah, I've got a 4-year-old too, and those 4 years they'll go by so quick, man. Just soak in what you can soak in. Absolutely.
Well, speaking of time flying, can you believe we've only got 2 more races left in the 2022 season? What's been your overall take on the season so far?
If it weren't for all the injuries that we've seen the drivers this year, I would say this is probably one of the best seasons in a long time for NASCAR. I think they need to do something to kind of help with the short track product a little bit, but I think the road courses have been entertaining and the intermediates have been good.
Yeah, no, for sure. We just got to give them more horsepower. That's all.
I'm with you on that too.
Whether we are going to be talking about 2022 for a long time, and we're going to be talking about it from a competitive standpoint. We're going to be talking about it from a driver win standpoint. We're going to be talking about it from an injury standpoint. There's some pros and cons to why we're going to constantly be citing and going back to, the 2022 NASCAR season. So we'll take the good with the bad. And, normally we're always boasting about safety in the sport, and I'm sure we'll get back there. It's just obviously so unfortunate that we've had to have the injuries that we have right now.
I think so too.
All right. We are going to Martinsville. I've said it about 9 times on the show already, but I'll say it again with you. It's a bummer that the trucks are not going to Martinsville. I think the fans deserve to see trucks beating and banging at Martinsville. But, we're going to set our Final Four for the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series this weekend. What do you think we're going to see?
I think we're going to see probably what we saw in the spring as far as the Xfinity race, where I think they're going to play nice in the beginning, and then it's going to be a lot of aggressive moves to try and get into the Final Four. Let me see here. As far as the Cup Series goes, I don't think you can rule out Denny Hamlin. I think he's probably the best chance to win his way into the Final Four here.
Absolutely.
And my guy Ryan Blaney, he's had a rough couple of races here in this round of 8, but if there's anybody that can find a way to Mickey Mouse point his way in to the Final Four, it would be him.
I mean, Ryan Blaney's been the story, right? For a while it was him and Martin Truex Jr. because they were, up there in the point standings and were the 2 winless guys that you wouldn't have thought would be the winless guys. And here they are. Truex didn't make the playoffs, and here's Ryan Blaney, nickel and diamond his way to a potential Final Four spot. And I mean, at that point, it doesn't matter. It is just straight up performance on that at Phoenix, and he's been the most consistent. So if he could point or win his way to Phoenix, we could be talking about Ryan Blaney as our champion, and that could be with 1 or no wins potentially. And that is where consistency would pay off for the 2022 season.
I think so too. I mean, you look at Daniel Hemrick last year in Xfinity, and that's what he did. Is he was consistent all year long, went to Phoenix and won the race.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think if Ryan can do that, I think he'll be okay. But yeah, it's been stressful as a Blaney fan. So
I understand that. It's been stressful for. If your driver is still in this thing, it's been stressful because it's, normally we're not talking about 6 different winners in the playoffs that aren't playoff drivers. We're not, that's another thing. That's another reason why we're going to be talking about 2022 is, the playoff drivers have not been winning, or it's playoff drivers that have been eliminated that are then winning again, so that's another anomaly and another, caveat to this crazy season. And that's something that is just going to add to the craziness of why Martinsville is going to be crazy and Phoenix, man, it's going to be a good one. I am excited because none of these guys, well, not none of them, but they're not who you maybe would have picked to be in your Final Four or your Final 8. If you had to pick a bracket at Daytona, I wouldn't have Chase Briscoe in my Final 8. That's for sure. So.
No, I think Ross Chastain, William Byron, and Chase Briscoe have been the biggest surprises this year.
Absolutely.
As far as making it this far into the playoffs.
Yep.
Ross Chastain especially. I didn't think Trackhouse was going to perform the way that they've performed.
No, I'm with you 100% there. All right, man. So are you going with Blaney as your championship pick?
If he makes the Final Four, yeah, I'll go with him as my championship pick.
All right. And if he doesn't, who's your backup?
If he doesn't, I would have to go with Joey Logano. The Fords were really fast at Phoenix in the spring. I think that those are your 2 best chances for Ford to get up into the to get up there and get it done this year.
I love it. Awesome, man. Well, listen, thank you so much for interacting on Twitter. Thanks for following. Thanks for listening, and thank you for helping count down to episode 300 here, man.
Absolutely, man. Congratulations on making it so many episodes.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Keep in touch. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.
We'll see you.
Bye.
All right, Lapped Traffic Nation. Great to talk to Colin there and closing out the fan portion of the show this week. Can't wait to get a few more on next week as well. Joining me right now, you can follow him on Twitter at NASCAR_WXMAN, along with Aaron Studwell at RaceWeather, who we will have both on next week. It is the wonderful Brian Neudorff. Sir, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. I mean, we were having a nice run as a Purdue, and then we met our kryptonite called Wisconsin.
that is so. We did some chatting before the show,
Yes.
and threw together some crazy stats here because you were like, "Isn't it crazy how some teams just get owned by other teams?" And the stats on Wisconsin and Purdue are pretty crazy there.
So if I said pick a team, name me 3 teams that you think, if you go to 2000, we've only beaten twice, in the Big Ten. Obviously, people would say Michigan, Ohio State, all of those names. Nope, it's Wisconsin.
It's Wisconsin.
In fact, it's Wisconsin. We've beaten Ohio State, 5?
Well, you've beaten them 4 times since
since 2000. Yeah.
Since your last win against Wisconsin, you've beaten OSU 4 times. That's crazy.
5 if you count 2000. Yeah. So where we've won 2. So, and then we beat Michigan 3.
Yeah. That is just, Michigan's crazy one is I think we've beat Indiana 19 times in a row or something like that. That's crazy. But just because of the 2003 mark there for Purdue, that's where I went back and looked at our OSU record, and we lost 7 times straight to OSU since our 2003 win, and over the last 21 years we only have 3 victories. So we have
how many
definitely well, let's see, in that you've got and I drew a blank on his name.
Carr.
God, yes. You had Carr, Rich Rod, Hoke, and now Harbaugh. So 4 coaches in that time span.
Okay, here's what you want to talk about. You want to talk about another. Just somebody had way too much time on their hands, but But we actually continued. Maybe it's because we play Wisconsin when this happened. No, it's actually not. So Purdue has never won a game directly after a Taylor Swift album release.
Oh my! Wow, that is that's a Jeopardy piece right there. That's for sure.
But yeah, 2006 lost to Penn State, 2008 Iowa, 2010 Illinois, 2012 Minnesota, 2014 Nebraska, 2017 Northwestern, 2019 Nevada.
Wow, who at Purdue broke up with Taylor Swift?
And then 2022 Wisconsin. And it's not even the same teams. There's been no repeat.
I would play a soundbite of her music here before, but I'm scared she'd come after me, and no, not going to happen. But just picture some Taylor Swift clip playing for 15 seconds here. That is crazy.
I know. I didn't even. I mean, first of all, somebody had way too much time on their hands to look at that.
Yeah.
What made them even think about comparing Taylor Swift album releases to Purdue wins is beyond me. But hey,
because here's the thing: if you're, and this is no knock to anybody, but if you're that big of a diehard Taylor Swift fan, I can't picture you as being that big of a diehard football fan to have the two correlations strike a chord to be like, hey, I think there's a connection here.
But also let's honestly be a little bit fair in the sense that we haven't really had a decent program since Tiller. And, Braum didn't come into play until 2017, which is now 3 album releases. So between the Danny Hope and, and I've gone a blank now on the previous coach, but the Hazel years, I mean, that's like saying, Purdue has losses following somebody's fart. I mean, it was just kind of you could rack them up. I mean, it wasn't it would have been more interesting if we had wins after certain things. So
I love it.
Yeah. So, that's not a stretch. You're not really, it's like throwing a rock at a glass house and going, well, every time I threw a rock, I hit glass.
Right. Yeah.
What are the odds?
And here, we just need to preface everybody, as I mentioned when I brought Brian on here, next week it's going into the last race. So, we have to have both Brian and Aaron on the show, which just means you're going to get
contractually. By the way, it's contractually obligated to have both of us on. I mean, it's just I'm still waiting for my green M&Ms every week, but you don't provide. So I'm kind of, you're in breach there. I'm just saying, letting everybody know.
I got to get on the intern to make sure they've got the green room stocked for you guys. So we'll blame it on the non-existent intern. I mean, next week's football discussion, between the fact that all three of us are going to be together, coming off of Michigan State weekend, just forewarning, next week's football discussion may be a little lengthy. We'll just call it that.
But you're the only one that can participate because we don't have a game this week.
Oh, you guys are on a bye?
We're on a bye, which we can't lose, so that's okay.
Well, hey, I mean, I'm sure you'll find some highlight reel of Michigan State, and you can poke fun at us for sure on that one.
If you do lose, then I will make fun of you.
Oh my God!
Because Michigan State is bad.
They are bad, but
They're not even. I think Nebraska did take them. I'm not sure, but
I don't like the 22.5 point spread to open. That's big and scary.
We were only a 1.5 point underdog to Wisconsin. I don't know what they were smoking, but apparently they had never seen a Purdue Wisconsin matchup. But we do have Iowa the following week. But given how bad our defense is right now, we could make Iowa look good, and that's kind of scary.
So all right, so it's funny you say that because Iowa can't move the ball, but their defense is pretty deep. So that score is either going to be 3-6 or it's going to be 64-57. Like, it's going to be one extreme or the other on that one. So that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah. And just for the record, Michigan State has not played Nebraska. So there you go. And the other thing I will like to say, and I know this is a NASCAR blog, we always talk college because and basketball's about ready to start too. So
I'm very excited about that. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm sorry. You're talking about Michigan State. We've mentioned Ohio State. I will have to mention the fact that I am somewhat thrilled about the fact. Now, Illinois scares me, but in the last 2 seasons right now, Indiana still has only one Big Ten win.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. It's because it's big. The talent just gets so stretched so thin.
No, it's Indiana.
Well, it's Indiana. I hear you.
It's Indiana. I mean, everybody. But I think I have to. It's my rival. I have to at least talk some smack.
That's fair.
And in any situation, I was present at their game that they won against Illinois, and then I got one of my coworkers was not happy when I said, hey, congratulations, you have more wins now in this season in Big Ten than you did last season, which still is true, but it's still only one.
Well, it's only one.
Great. But anyway, so
good times.
We know this is a NASCAR podcast. I should probably talk
podcast. Yes. Only 2 more races to go, and we'll have a little break. And the irony here is you've poked fun at me for the entire season because of all of my breaks that you can't keep up with, and you're going to be on the show back-to-back weeks.
Only because you're having both of us on. let's just get that out there. It's a technicality
and a formality from the non-existent contract that's there.
I'm going to hold you to it as well. So.
Oh, that's great! I love it. Yes, we've got.
It's the contract. It's the contract on my heart.
There you go. I love it. Yes. So it's. We'll have to get the contract extensions out over the next couple of weeks.
I don't deserve one. Save your money. All whopping zero of it.
All whopping zero of it. Yes.
What's sad is he pays the intern more than he pays me, and then the intern doesn't even exist. Right. So that's sad. Actually, everybody doesn't know it. It's your son. He's the intern. Yes, so it's pretty sad when you blame the intern.
He's going to be, up and coming. Like, now it's a matter of, can I keep this thing going long enough to be able to one day do it with him and then turn it over to him? Like, he's going to be a Formula 1 kit fan,
right?
That or he's
and an Ohio State fan.
Oh my God, Brad! Brad Yunker would just love that. That would be the nail in the coffin. Like, I couldn't have, or he's going to go to Ohio State or something like that. He's gonna make me have to wear that color or something at one point in time in my life. That's a good call. That would be funny and fun, and I'd embrace all of it. So, well, yeah, NASCAR. We're going to Martinsville. How are things shaping up for Martinsville, sir?
It's looking dry. The timing, I mean, I will never go 100% this far out. That's going to be dry because I do see a chance of something coming in later in the day or evening. Right now it looks later. But if it slows down if it speeds up and comes in earlier, then yeah, now you're talking about the potential for activity. But overall, the weekend looks fairly quiet. I mean, I know we've talked about this, going back to Daytona and all the different things, you get one big race that has rain and the whole season was wet. But let's be honest, this has been a fairly quiet. I mean, I know because
it's been great.
My the people adding me for about anything is way down.
Hey, that's good. That's good.
It is, but then it makes me also not active. Like I'll go like, oh yeah, people are asking me questions. I probably should be looking at this. Actually, you know how it's so quiet. I haven't really spoken to Aaron much. We've just been doing our thing. So, and I know he's been busy. That's how it's quiet when him and I are like, what are you thinking? Right? It's like we both it's dry. Let's just
both good. Yeah.
I mean, we do collaborate. Don't get us wrong, we do. But when it's a pretty cut and dry, literally, forecast, there's not so much collaboration that needs to be done.
I mean, I'm just scrolling through here. I'm on jayski.com. And I mean, the big thing is obviously the Cup race, right? Like if that goes off without a hitch or it finishes on the scheduled day, you got to really call it a success for the Cup race because that's what's bringing in the draw, right?
It is. And also, I think to myself, if they can finish without a Monday, whether it be the Xfinity or anything, if they can, without having to, because sometimes they've had to move even Xfinities to the typically it will run after or another time. But yeah, if they can, it's been very good with delays are going to happen.
3 races.
Thank you.
That's it. 3. And we've got 2 to go. So that's a win, NASCAR fans. That's a win. I'm sorry.
That is a dry season. That is not a wet season.
No.
Everybody who says if you have a drought schedule, I mean, maybe that's why Kentucky's now in a drought because they don't race here anymore. Right. But
yeah, no, that's a win for the season there. You only have 2 or 3 Cup races postponed to a Monday or the next day if it's Saturday and even if it's Saturday into Sunday. I think you've got more people that are able to finagle that than you do a Sunday to Monday race. We lucked out very well this year from a weather perspective. You can't get pissed off about a delayed start or anything like that. As long as the race starts and finishes on the scheduled day, take the W.
Yeah. And I mean, Daytona was, but it's still, even on a Saturday, but if you can still finish it in the weekend.
Yep. You're good.
Yes, that Daytona race, because of fact, I mean, you got to give, that was a weird situation where, there was a boundary. I applaud NASCAR for even going earlier than they normally want to start a race, and they did that. But then, stuff just set up way sooner than we thought.
Sure.
But we got, like you said, 2 more races left.
Yep.
And then we, in the odds say going out to, are they finishing?
Phoenix is favorable. I would have to assume
it generally tends to be. Right. Now, it doesn't mean it's always, but it tends to be.
Yes. I'm not jinxing anything.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, sir, that was fun. I look forward to continuing the college football talk next week with you and Aaron and wrapping this thing up with you guys. And we'll do all the thank yous and heartfelt stuff next week, sir.
I will come prepared. Since I can't talk football, I will see who tends to win more NASCAR races following a Taylor Swift album release. Just so we're
perfect. I love that research. Beautiful.
Any other research? Any other band that we want? Maybe what's NASCAR like after a Taylor Swift breakup? I don't know. I mean,
I tell you what. You bring whatever Taylor Swift trivia.
I'm not even that big of a fan. Boy, everybody's gonna really think yeah. Okay.
I love it. All righty, Lapped Traffic Nation. Make sure you follow Brian on Twitter at NASCAR_WXMAN, along with Aaron Studwell at Waste Ruther. Sir, great to talk to you. We'll catch you next week.
Sounds good.
See ya. All right, it is time for this week's Lucky Dog Lap Down Picks. We've only got 2 more weeks left for Lucky Dogs, and we'll wrap that in somewhere over the next couple weeks with the recap on that. My lucky dog is that we're going to have a great Martinsville race weekend. That's my lucky dog. I'm looking forward to the drama, to the racing, all of the action that I know that we are going to get this weekend. My lap down are my Detroit Lions and my lap traffic fantasy picks, as you will see here in just a few minutes. Let's get to your tweeted responses. Scott at 1985 Wagner, lucky dog Kyle Larson wins with no mistakes, unless you're a Martin Truex Jr. fan. Lap down Blaney, how many times can a person get shot in the foot in a season and still be contending for the championship? That's what I love about that. Bobby at Junior Colleague 16. Lucky dog goes to Larson for the walk-off performance. Double lucky dog goes to Dinger. He's going to be a force in the Cup Series. Stellar job. Yeah, I am so excited that Dinger's going to get a second shot at the Cup Series in a competitive ride. Not something that comes along. You know, who would have? I don't know. I wonder if AJ thought he'd be back in a car. When he was in the broadcast booth. All that kind of stuff. Who knew that this is where we'd be at, which is awesome. I'm very excited to see that. Chris at USMC_NASCAR Fire, Lucky Dog, Xfinity Trucks. Thank God F1 was on at the same time as the Cup race. Lap down, NASCAR and NBC having full screen commercials on big NBC during the playoffs. Colin at Colin_with_cars. Lucky dog to Larson doing what he does best, ripping the fence. A lap down to us Ryan Blaney's fans. Could have been a great point day, but well, you know what happened. Let's see here. Jason at JA Stone 29. A lucky dog, the 19 teams crew for being aware. Phew. Lap down belongs to this. I just might offer the next gen car. I listened to several radios today, and the number one complaint again was stiffness. I hope NASCAR for 2023 fixes it. Drivers are nervous to drive. Yeah, that's you never want to be nervous. It's already a risk as it is, let alone if you can't trust what you're in. Man, I could not imagine that. Matt at Camper News Net, lucky dog Larson with a dominant race, lap down, Truex having more bad luck that cost him a possible win. And last but not least, Mick at GoDucks5_Mick, lucky dog. Me calling Larson's walk-off homer at Homestead on episode 295. Hell yeah, Mick. Lap down, whatever driver advances to the Final Four, but can't get owners' championships. I love it. All right. Cannot wait to see what next week brings. It will be good. I know it. Okay. What do you say we close this thing out with some lap traffic fantasy? Just a reminder, get your picks in by 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I am really hoping to be able to have our Final Four on the show next week to do picks. Haven't had some fantasy people on last couple weeks just because I've had so many calls. Shows are going a little long. And I figured that was where maybe we'd save some time. But next week, however many of the Final Four I can get, I will have them on. Will it be me? Man, I need Mick's walk off for Larson. Everything was great except the truck race. John Hunter Nemechek getting me 2 points. I had Noah Gregson and I had William Byron. That 2 points killed. Here is our top 10 for lap traffic fantasy as we head to Martinsville to set our Final Four. Right now in first with 260 points is Henry Fletcher. Looking good, my man. In second, Kristen Hoagland, 222. In third, just 7 points back, is Kim James. In fourth, tied with Kim actually with 215 is Steven, DFS NASCAR guy. And then we've got a two-way tie for fifth with 193 between David James and myself. Michael Blind Spot Pod in seventh with 178. Josh Rolfe is in eighth with 143. So, it's 193 points I've got. I am, 25 points back. 2 races to do it. I am going to have to get creative with my picks. So, without further ado, and this is a bad teaser because I'm going to do something I haven't done before. But we are headed to the Paperclip in Martinsville. It's been Chevy and Toyota show here lately, each picking up 3 wins over the last 6 trips to Martinsville. We know this will be a very chaotic race. Tempers are going to flare in both the Xfinity and Cup races. And I feel I have to say it again, very upset the trucks are not going to be at Martinsville. This is a race and a track all 3 series should be at, in my opinion. But anyways, what kind of Hail Marys are we going to see by the teams that are in a must-win situation to get to the Final Four? I'm in a must-win situation. I need to make up some ground, so I have to think outside the box, and I am not sure who to take yet. Man, what do I do? Part of me wants to say I'll tweet out my picks, but I don't want to do that because I see the picks coming in. So I am going to have to make my picks here. And all right, I've got my picks. I am ready. I literally had to hit stop, look at it, and see what I wanted to do. For the Xfinity Series, I am going to go with a 16 of AJ Allmendinger, and that is because a lot of people don't have him available to take. So there's my outside the box there. And in the Cup Series, I'm torn between Ross and Joey. Either one, I think they're both going to be in the Final Four. So it's a matter of who I want to take. Oh man, or do I take Truex? He's still available for me. But no, I think it's going to be playoffs. I am going to go with the 1 of Ross Chastain this weekend, and we'll see what happens there. All right, that is it for that, and can't wait to hopefully get you guys on next week, whoever is in the Final Four. Okay, that is going to do it for episode 296 of the Lapped Traffic Podcast. Check out the website, thelappedtrafficpodcast.com, Twitter @LappedTrafficPC. Huge thank you to all of our guests, Bobby, TJ, Colin, Chris. Who else am I missing? I think there is one more. Brian. How could I forget Brian? Thank you, Brian. And we will be back next week with the same. We'll have both Aaron and Brian on and a few more of you guys. Looking forward to it. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lapped Traffic Podcast. See ya.